Famous people who passed away in 1772. Before we proceed, please subscribe to our channel to support us. William Nelson. He was born in 1711 and he died in November 1772. His age was 61 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an American planter and politician from Yorktown, Virginia, in the interim between the royal governors Noble Berkeley and Lord Dunmore. He served as governor of Virginia from 1770 to 1771. He played a role in the state's political and economic affairs. John Woolman. He was born in October 1720 and he died in October 1772. His age was 51 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was smallpox. He was an American merchant, tailor, journalist, Quaker preacher, and early abolitionist during the colonial era, based in Mount Holly, near Philadelphia. He traveled through the American frontier to preach Quaker beliefs and advocate against slavery and the slave trade, cruelty to animals, economic injustice, and oppression. Benjamin Green. He was born in July 1713 and he died in October 1772. His age was 59 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a merchant, judge, and political figure in Nova Scotia. He served as administrator of Nova Scotia in 1766 and from 1771 to 1772. He was a prominent figure in Nova Scotia Colonial's government, supporting economic and legal reforms. Princess Victoria Charlotte of Anhalt-Zeitz-Hohen. She was born in December 1715 and she died in February 1772. Her age was 56 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She was a German noblewoman and a princess of Anhalt, Bernburg, Schamberg, Hohen by birth, and Wagenweib of Badenburg, Bayreuth by marriage, known for her cultural patronage and influence in her principality. Princess Augusta of Saxe-Gotha. She was born in November 1719 and she died in February 1772. Her age was 52 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was throat cancer. She was a princess of Wales by marriage to Frederick, Prince of Wales' eldest son, and heir apparent of King George II. She never became queen consort, as Frederick predeceased his father in 1751. Augusta's eldest son succeeded her father-in-law as George III in 1760. She was known for her role in the Hanoverian dynasty. Caterina Sargado Barbarigo. She was born in July 1715 and she died in February 1772. Her age was 56 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She was a Venetian aristocrat, a casino holder, and somewhat notorious salonier. She was a notable patron of the arts, supporting cultural advancements in Venice. She is the model of several famous paintings of Rosalba Carriera. Maitromaros. He was born in 1713 and he died in February 1772. His age was 59 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was wounds from battle. He was a Greek rebel and pirate who took part in the Orlov Revolt, a prominent figure in Greek efforts to resist Ottoman domination during the 18th century. Count Johann Hartwig Ernest von Bernstorff. He was born in May 1712 and he died in February 1772. His age was 59 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a German-Danish statesman and a member of the Bernstorff noble family of Mecklenburg. He was the son of Joachim and Gull Freiherr von Bernstorff, Chamberlain to the Elector of Hanover. He was also known for modernizing administration and fostering European diplomacy. Princess Maria Theresa of Liechtenstein. She was born in May 1694 and she died in February 1772. Her age was 77 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She was a heiress to the Silesian Duchy of Troppau, Countess of Soissons by marriage. She was the last person to hold the title. She had one son, who predeceased her in 1734. She was a prominent Austrian princess, noted for her philanthropy and contributions to cultural life. Jacques-Nicolas Bilan. He was born in 1703 and he died in March 1772. His age was 69 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a French hydrographer, geographer, and member of the French intellectual group called the Philosophes. He was a leading cartographer renowned for his detailed and accurate maps of maritime regions. John Canton. He was born in July 1718 and he died in March 1772. His age was 53 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was dropsy. He was a British physicist and an innovator in experimental physics, particularly known for his work on static electricity. He was the first in England to verify Benjamin Franklin's hypothesis for the identity of lighting and electricity, and he made several important electrical discoveries. Charles-Pinault Duclos. He was born in February 1704 and he died in March 1772. His age was 68 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a French author and a leading Enlightenment figure, contributing to French literature and historical studies. Taylor White. He was born in December 1701 and he died in March 1772. His age was 70 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a British jurist, naturalist, and art collector, a Fellow of the Royal Society. He was a patron of several prominent wildlife and botanical artists. He was a key figure in natural history, known for his detailed observations and scientific collections. He was also founding governor of the Foundling Hospital in London and served as its treasurer for many years. Emanuel Swedenborg. He was born in January 1688 and he died in March 1722. His age was 84 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was stroke. He was a Swedish Christian theologian, scientist, philosopher, and mystic. He was a visionary thinker, contributing to philosophy, theology, and science with spiritual focus. He became best known for his book on the afterlife, Heaven and Hell, 1758. Johann Friedrich Struensee. He was born in August 1737 and he died in April 1772. His age was 34 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was execution. He was a German-Danish physician, philosopher, and statesman. He became royal physician to the mentally ill King Christian VII of Denmark and a minister in the Danish government. He rose in power to a position of de facto regent of the country, and he tried to carry out widespread reforms. His affair with Queen caused a scandal, especially after the birth of a daughter. Gottfried Achenwald. He was born in October 1719 and he died in May 1772. His age was 52 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a German philosopher, historian, economist, jurist, and statistician. He is counted among the inventors of statistics. He is also credited with advancing economic theories in 18th century Germany. Dorostante Natalucci. He was born in September 1687 and he died in May 1772. His age was 84 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an Italian historian known for documenting the local history of Foligno with meticulous detail. He started to consign the historical information he collected to a series of notebooks and gradually formed them into what would become his best work. Louis-Claude Daquien. He was born in July 1694 and he died in June 1772. His age was 77 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a French composer writing in the Baroque and Gallant styles. He was a virtuoso organist and harpsichordist. He was a musical child prodigy. He performed for the court of Louis XIV at the age of 6. Gerard van Swieten. He was born in May 1700 and he died in June 1772. His age was 72 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Dutch physician who from 1745 was a personal physician to the Holy Roman Empress Maria Theresa and transformed the Austrian health service and medical university education. He was a leading figure in Enlightenment medicine and influencing reforms in Austrian medical education. Johann Ulrich von Karma. He was born in November 1706 and he died in June 1772. His age was 65 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was an eminent German judge, legal scholar, and Enlightenment philosopher who contributed to Enlightenment ideas in legal theory and governance. François Vincent Toussaint. He was born in December 1715 and he died in June 1772. His age was 56 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a French writer, most famous for Les Miserables. The Manners. The book was published in 1748 and banned the same year. It was prosecuted and burned by the French Court of Justice, known for his satirical and reformist works during the Enlightenment. William Borlase. He was born in February 1696 and he died in August 1772. His age was 76 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Cornish antiquary, geologist, and naturalist who documented local history and geological phenomena. From 1722, he was rector of Ledgeland, Cornwall, where he died. James Brindley. He was born in 1716 and he died in September 1772. His age was 56 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was pneumonia. He was an English engineer, becoming one of the most notable engineers of the 18th century. He was instrumental in the development of Britain's canal system during the Industrial Revolution. Jean-Joseph de Mondonville. He was born in December 1711 and he died in October 1772. His age was 60 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a French violinist and a notable Baroque composer, celebrated for his religious, music, and operatic works. Ahmad Shah Abdali. He was born in 1722 and he died in June 1772. His age was 50 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Durrani Empire founder and is often regarded as the founder of modern Afghanistan, consolidating territories and shaping Afghanistan's early political structure. Andrea Belli. He was born in October 1703 and he died in October 1772. His age was 69 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Maltese architect and businessman. He designed several Baroque buildings, including Auberge de Castile in Valletta, which is now the office of the Prime Minister of Malta. He contributed to the island's Baroque architectural legacy. Pedro Antonio Joaquim Correa de Saragossa. He was born in April 1724 and he died in November 1772. His age was 48 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Portuguese neoclassical lyric poet, known for his lyrical and dramatic works. From 1760 to 1762, he edited the Lisbon Gazette. Dovber of Mazarich. He was born in 1704 and he died in December 1772. His age was 68 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a central figure in Hasidic Judaism, succeeding the Baal Shem Tov and expanding the movement. He is regarded as the first systemic exponent of the mystical philosophy underlying the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, and through his teachings and leadership, the main architect of the movement. Martin Sarmiento. He was born in March 1695 and he died in December 1772. His age was 77 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was undisclosed. He was a Spanish scholar, writer, and Benedictine monk, illustrious representative of the Enlightenment who explored history, linguistics, and the natural sciences in Spain. Panasenka. She was born in 1711 and she died in 1772. Her age was 61 at the time of her death, and the reason for her death was undisclosed. She was a celebrated Slovak Romani violinist known for her contributions to European folk and classical music. After 1725, she formed a music band with her husband and brothers-in-law. She designed a uniform of sorts for the band. She became famous for her skill with the violin. The band toured abroad and was invited to perform in noble houses. Madavrov I. He was born in February 1745 and he died in November 1772. His age was 27 at the time of his death, and the reason for his death was tuberculosis. He was a prominent Maratha leader who stabilized the empire and led military campaigns against adversaries. During his tenure, the Maratha Confederacy recovered from the losses they suffered during the Third Battle of Panipat, an event known as Maratha Resurrection. Thanks for watching the video. Please don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Have a nice day.